Good morning, everyone. It is Saturday. Cheers, coffee time. We're getting closer to spring. I'm just looking outside on the thermometer. It says 40 degrees. It's supposed to get up to 58. So we're going to get into the garage today and do a little bit more on the bike. But what I thought I would do with this video is tell you a little bit about my interest in motorcycles and kind of tell you what this channel is all about and what's really motivated me to get a channel like this going. There's tons of motorcycle channels out there on YouTube, and I follow a lot of them. Very interesting stuff. Sometimes it's just nice to grab a cup of coffee on a Saturday morning, which honestly is my favorite time of the week. I love Saturday mornings, hobby stuff. Just put YouTube on and listen to somebody and watch somebody. So I thought I'd do a combination of both, like a podcast theme, but not really a podcast, because this is just going to be a basic YouTube channel, or a typical YouTube channel, I should say. But yeah, what really has got me interested in doing this is because I just love motorcycles. I've loved them ever since I was a teenager, and I'm going to put some pictures up as we go here, show you some of the bikes. I don't have pictures of all of them. They've all long gone. That was a long time ago. I think my first motorcycle was in 1977, 78, somewhere around there. It was actually a friend of mine, Pete's KH, was it a KE or something, Kawasaki trail bike 125. That thing was constantly in pieces up on a bench, and Pete and I would enjoy sparring over what goes where and how to make it work. And there was a time when I dropped a little link that holds the cam chain inside the engine right at the end of the engine build, and Pete was kicking things and screaming and yelling, and I looked into the engine and I saw the link right over the drain hole, the oil drain hole. I couldn't believe how lucky I was. I'm like, it's all right, it's there, it is. And he was calling me a jammy this, and you jammy, and just going off at me, and got the link out and the bike started. But then a short while it stopped running again, and I'm not even sure what happened to it. But I think Pete just kind of forgot he owned that, and forgot that I kind of took it. But yeah, no idea where that bike went. And then after that, I bought a Honda 175 from a guy in Dogsthorpe, Peterborough. It was a really real mutt of a bike. It didn't run very smoothly, and fuel problems. I think I paid £175 cash for it, canned it out, working overtime, and rode it home. I think the thing had been in an accident, or he'd dropped it a few times, because it didn't feel like it was very stable on bends. It was like weaving up and down. So I dropped that a couple of times, unfortunately. End of my road, I did the classic newbie mistake of all front brake on a slick surface, and away it went. Just dusted down my pride and got up and rode away. A friend was riding behind me on his way to work. Just happened to be there, and he looked down and said, "You all right, mate?" I said, "Yeah, I'm good." And he knew my pride was hurt, so he gave me a thumbs up and kept riding. So yeah, had some time with that. Got rid of that. Not sure what I did with that. I can't remember where half of these bikes went. But then I bought I got my test. I've been riding on a learner's plate for a long while, which in America you don't have that, which is a big red L on the back of a white plate that signifies you're a learner. Basically means give me room, I don't know what I'm doing, kind of a thing. Cars and bikes both. And I took my test, tore the plates up, great. Bought a Z650 Kawasaki. I was a big Kawasaki fan back then. I don't know why. Bought a Honda in between there, but I did like Kawasaki. My friend had a KH250 triple, which is a great bike. Boy, that was a quick little bike. Leaking oil seals all the time. And you had to I think you had to mix oil and petrol together to run it. A two-stroke. It's a two-stroke as well. Noisy, smelly, but boy, it was that quick. Great bike. Yeah, deal. Good bike, mate. And anyway, forgot where I was going with that. I bought that off a mate, Ian. If you're watching this, Ian, that was a great bike. I put some pictures up. I think my dad hit the roof and said, "You'll never be able to handle that." And I remember it well, going outside after yelling, "I can handle this, I can handle this," and slipping, and the bike going over on its side on the driveway, and he just standing out, looking out the window with his arms folded at me, and then eventually came out and helped me. But I think that was lesson learned right there. Kids, your parents know best. Anyway, after that, I that was a good bike, and again, I don't know, did I trade that in or whatever? Bought a GPZ 750, not the turbo. The turbo was around at the time, and couldn't afford that. And to be honest, it was a bit mental. So I got the GPZ 750, and a horrible picture of me in 80s grey fashion boots on that one. Had that for a while. Then I had a 650 Katana, which was a horrible, I don't know why I bought that. It's a horrible yellow. Just a really ugly bike. Bought it from Pete Saunders over at SM Motorcycles. And Pete, the salesman he wasn't going to let me go with that. But I think he probably would have actually beaten me up if I hadn't bought that bike. And I played in a band with him as a drummer. Great lad, but boy, once he got his claws in you. After that, I bought an FZ. Was it an F? What? I forgot, FZR. I got the picture up, but I can't remember what that was. It was a Yamaha. It was the only Yamaha I ever owned, and I don't know why I bought that. I think I might have bought that from Pete too, possibly. That was a fast bike, but it had some fuel issues at the high end, so I couldn't wrap that thing wide open. I tried to on Soak Parkway in Peterborough one time with Howard Jenkins, Jinx, on the back, and we were racing some guy on another Yamaha. And he left me for dead because it was sputtering when it got around about 110, and with two people on it, probably it was probably labouring a little bit too. So anyway, after that, CBR 1100, brand new from Balderson's on Lincoln Road in Peterborough. That was a nice bike. That was a beautiful CBR 1100. Yeah, great bike, smooth. It wasn't really your performance bike. It was more for the old man touring. I was old before my time, I think. And that was around for a while, and sold that. Finances didn't allow me to really to do a lot of these motorcycles that I did. So I probably got a little bit over my head, if I'm honest. But anyway, got out of that. And then after that, it was a break. And then I had a GP. No, actually, you know what? I'm getting the timeline wrong. GPZ 900. Went to the Ninja, silver and red. And it had a warped front rotor, brake disc rotor, which I got. Well, I didn't realize at the time. Had been in an accident too. That was a 16-inch front wheel, 18 rear, I believe. So it had a little bit more of a fall into the bends feeling, which, oh boy, that was a quick bike again. Fun to ride, but had that little bit of a wavy front end, and that went, and then I got the CBR, which, as I said, after that, the Laverda was my venture into an Italian motorcycle. Great bike, a Chico fairing, orange and silver. I don't have a picture of that. I wish I did. I don't know where it went, but unfortunately, that thing went down. I dropped that on a corner, Grimsthorpe Castle, in Lincolnshire, on the other side of Bourne, clipping some bends with a mate, Nigel Hallam, riding after work, and there was a pothole, and I was going into the bend, and I was on exactly the same line as the pothole, and I tried to correct by cutting in, and I didn't have the ground clearance, so I hit the peg, and it threw me off. By that point, I was only doing about 20-something miles an hour anyway, so just my pride, a bit sore. And that was in the garage for a while, waiting for the insurance to pay for the repairs. Went out for one ride after it was repaired and back on the road, and sold it to get married. Such is life. Anyway, didn't ride again until much later. A few years later, had children, came to the States. Really didn't even, always wanted a motorcycle, always looked at motorcycles. Never bought one. It wasn't until much later in 2010, I think, 2011, somewhere around there. But it might have even been later than that. But anyway, I got a Honda 1100 Shadow. It was a VT 1100. Did a lot of work to that. Rebuilt the carbs, rejetted, put Vance and Hines exhaust on it. Did some other little bits and pieces. Put a screen on. Just really liked that bike. And circumstances improved, and decided it was time to make another change. And that change was to a Harley Davidson, right there. And circumstances again changed, as they do. And I had that for a while. Enjoyed some touring with it, with my wife at the time. And situations forced the sale. Let's just say that. Anyway, moving on. Sold the Harley. Waited a while, then bought the VTX 1800. Wanted a bigger bike. I like the cruising feel. It's got a very, very low frame and seat height, so it doesn't take much to scrape that thing. But in a straight line, it's a quick bike, and I tend to stick around the speed limits now and again. You'd say now and again. So it's good for getting there quick, gets up to the speed limit fast. It's a big beast. It weighs 790 pounds. Dry. That's dry weight with nothing on it, so I'm sure with the things I've added to it, it's probably more than that now. I'm sure it's over 8. Heavy bike. Doesn't take much for that thing to lean into a curve, so you really got to apply the power as you're cornering. Like most bikes, nothing new there. But that's the bike, and I'm going to put some pictures up now of what it was like when I first bought it, and some of the improvements I've made to it, which are actually ongoing right now. I've got some more things to go on, and at some point soon, hopefully it'll be finished. Hopefully within the next month or so, because I'm still waiting for some parts that are, a couple of them are on back order, and some of them are just slow getting here with the way things are at the moment. Shipping is very slow for some places, and I've said this before, I'm not picking on Amazon, but I'm trying to get away from Amazon and support some of the local, not just local, but some of the small businesses and family-owned businesses in America. By buying from them, I use J&P Cycles a lot, West End Motorsports, Revzilla. I forgot the name of the parts place, maybe Partzilla, I think it's called. But places like that you pay a little bit for the shipping, but you're keeping companies in business that do specialize in ones and two-offs that you can't normally get anywhere else. When you own a motorcycle or a car or a truck or whatever it is you own, and you want a specific item like a bolt or a nut, and you can only get it in limited places, it's good to have those guys around. So that's why I use them. Hopefully they'll be here soon so I can get all these pieces and parts on. Floorboards are still going to go on. The exhaust is on, as you've seen from the videos. I've got saddle bags, hard bags, or hard mount bags. They're not hard bags. They've got to go on. I'm waiting for a Memphis Shades Fats screen to come. I've got the hardware. That came almost immediately. But the screen's on back order, so I'm waiting for that. Their COVID issues at the factory have slowed their production down, so just a wait time. There's a clock to go on. There's some mirrors to go on. Got those from J&P Cycles, Kuryakin. I stick with the name brands, as I've said before. I try and stick with the name brands. Can't always do it. Memphis Shades, Cobra, Kuryakin, some other brands too that are known brands rather than the generic made in China brands that I try to stay away from as much as possible. So once all that's on, it'll be time to start doing some really cool things. What I would like to do is to get out and do a little bit of camping. I'm not a big fan of camping. I tell you what, I'm going to have a sip of coffee while we're doing this. I'm not a big fan of camping. I tell you what, I'm going to have a sip of coffee while we're doing this. Dunkin' Donuts coffee, love it. This is not a product placement thing, just like Dunkin' Donuts. Like to do some camping on the bike. Got it kind of figured out how I'm going to do it. Add a bedroll, or a tent roll, I should say. I'm not sleeping under a tarp. Like some guys are good at that. There's a lot of guys out there that do bushcraft that will pull a tarp over the bike and use the bike as part of the tent structure, if you like, or the bivvy structure. I don't think that's my thing. Kudos to them guys. I think some of those guys are maybe ex-military or survival guys. They're good at that. They specialize. That's not my thing. So I'll probably do a tent, a small 2-person tent, packing light, a frying pan, a small stove. I also wouldn't mind trying one of those little fire boxes that you can do load with twigs, and you start your fire with the fire stick, a magnesium rod, which I've got. So I thought that'd be fun to try. I've always been interested in fire, even as a kid, right? Sisters, Donna and Wen. Yeah, so looking to try some of that. The saddlebags will take some of the stuff. Might need something on the back. Looking at a trunk possibly, and a backrest. Load up and go. We work hard, for heaven's sake. Work long hours during the week, usually 50 plus hours on your feet all day. It's time to have some fun on the weekend. So I thought it was load up when I'm not playing with the band. Is to load up the bike, go to a campsite, or maybe find somewhere a little out of the way that you can legally camp without getting into trouble, and where fire restrictions allow to make a campfire. And who knows, it might end up being a feature thing for the channel too. Other than that, I'm just going to play the whole thing by ear. Once COVID's pretty much no longer the media darling that it is at the moment, perhaps we can all move on and do something more outdoorsy and get involved in doing things in groups again, going to breweries, going to museums, going to car event. I love car shows. I love the old classic car shows. And that's one thing I really missed last year. Was none of that happened. So this year, hopefully that will come back. I'd like to ride the bike to those events too, because a lot of people do take their motorcycles. Bike nights on the midweek. There were some of those going on. They're limited numbers. There wasn't a lot of people, but our band actually played. Kilroy plug actually played at a bike night at the end of the season, and it was really shaping up to be a great night. Great crowd. Point Burger in New Berlin, right off of Moreland Road. Nice place, good food, but rain came in and we had to shut down early, which was a real shame because there was a good crowd building and they were getting into it, and we were fist bumping and hands, high fiving, and people were singing along with this great time, and it was just taken from us by the weather. Just the way it goes when you do an outdoor show. We played some Harley events this year, and looking forward to doing those in 2021. We're already on one group's You're Coming Back list, so we're excited about that. West Bend Harley Davidson. Let's hope so. I hope we get back there. But yeah, once things get back to normal again, we're going to get out on the bikes and do some rides and do some camping. Do some trips, do some weekend trips, day trips, taking lots of video, taking the GoPro out. I've got myself set up pretty good now to do videos. I've got 2 GoPro 7s, Hero 7 Blacks, helmet mounts. I've got handlebar mounts. I've got multiple handheld devices, lighting, which I'm using now. And, of course, having the means to bring it all together is having the software as well. So all of those things has taken time to get used to learning. And thankfully, we've had winter to do it. I think it would have been harder if it had been in the middle of summer, a normal summer that wasn't a lockdown summer. Would have been a lot harder to do all those kind of things. But I'm actually really interested in other people's thoughts on all of this. As I said, my channel is new. It launched in January of 21. Got a few people liking it, which is greatly appreciated. I would like to expand that. I'm not trying to make any money out of YouTube, and I don't expect to. That's not really why I'm doing this. What I thought of doing is just share me with friends and people I don't see enough of, and I miss terribly. I miss my home country. I love living in the United States. It's my life now. My children are here. My grandchildren are here. But I miss my family and friends back home in England too. Different riding scenarios. That's obvious. Is in England lots of tight, twisty roads and country roads, and scenic roads. In the States, lots of straight roads. Still also very scenic, of course, but a lot of straight riding, where I think the type of motorcycle is suited for the riding environment. Long straight roads, big comfortable cruise. A lot of sport bikes in the States too, no question about that. Or adventure riding, ADV motorcycles. And that's a thing that I thought about doing, but it's probably a little bit too specialized for me. I don't really know if I can get onto the trails on a regular basis to make it worthwhile doing. But I did think about doing it. So I just follow the YouTubers that are doing that, the motor vloggers. But where I was going with that was that in England, fast, nippy, tight motorcycles for fast, nippy, tight roads. In America, big, comfortable cruisers for big, wide open roads, wide open spaces. The old saying, horses for courses. And there's a great deal of enjoyment to be had just by riding regardless. I've waffled on enough, taken up your Saturday morning or whenever you're listening to this. I hope you find it interesting. I'm not doing anything groundbreaking here. I just hope that what I'm sharing with you is of interest and at least help your morning coffee go down well. So thanks very much for listening. I will see you again soon. There'll be more videos coming. And have a great weekend. Cheers and take care.